Early in the morning, David cracked open the door to his daughter's room.
Sweetie, it's time to get up.
He cut himself off. To his surprise, his daughter had woken up earlier than everyone else. Mia quickly hid her Valentine's Day card.
I'm coming, Dad.
She replied anxiously. David remembered being her age. He smiled and decided not to disturb his daughter. Coral was making breakfast while Michael was glued to his phone.
My grown-up son might have plans after school,
Thought Carol, and asked him who he was talking to. Michael just smiled, coyly. She knew he'd share the news with her eventually. They were best friends, after all. Carol was seeing the kids off to school, glancing at her watch. They were already out the door when David said,
Honey, you forgot your dinosaur.
Mia loved her toy and always took it with her to school. It was wonderful that David noticed. Always so attentive and caring even when short on time. They greeted each other and everyone was off. At a crossroads, looking out the car window, David saw a young couple in love. They were holding hands and looking at each other tenderly. Watching them, David fell into his memories. Not so long ago, he and Carol strolled carefree through the city, enjoying each other's company, oblivious to the world around them. In lunchtime, Carol stepped out to a nearby bistro to grab a coffee. She thought, while observing a couple hugging at a table.
It's a pity that, in family life, with each passing year, there are more chores and less romance. Perhaps we're too grown up for that.
Returning to the office, Carol saw a bouquet of roses on her desk.
Wow. David didn't forget. My favorite flowers.
Carol lovingly placed the bouquet in a vase and picked up the card. There was nothing in it, just a heart. David was busy working on a new project and only took coffee breaks. After a meeting, he returned to his desk. He found his favorite candies.
Carol and I haven't given each other gifts in such a long time. Today is a perfect day to change that.
Suddenly, his boss called him to a meeting. It looked like the candies would have to wait till he got home. It just so happened that David and Carol got back from work at the same time. Carol with her flowers and David with his box of candies. Seeing each other with gifts, they slowed down and exchanged glances. Carol hadn't sent candies to her husband, and he'd never got around to ordering her flowers. Two silent questions hung in the air. Carol and David entered the house. The lights were dimmed, and the living room was decorated with garlands in heart shape. On the table was a perfectly set dinner. A familiar tune was playing, their favorite song from their first date. Carol and David exchanged glances and understood without a word. This was a surprise for them both. Carol saw a card on the table.
You're the best mom and dad in the world. We love you.
She read out loud.
We have such wonderful children.
David nodded and hugged his wife tightly.
So that's who Mia was making her card for this morning.
And Michael remembers my favorite flowers and your favorite candies.
Carol added. And that's how their date was planned by their children.